Hello.
Hi.
It's a book haul time.
There's books!
There's books. Do you know what's really good about these books now?
Everything.
We don't know what they are anymore.
No, that's really cool.
Quick story. If you follow Sean the Book Maniac, and if you don't, fix that now.
We'll wait.
Yeah, just in the description, there's a link. Just go there, subscribe, come back, keep watching.
Mm-hmm.
No, like seriously, Sean's fabulous.
We love Sean.
We love Sean. And
even more today than usual.
Sean has recently relocated from Japan back to Canada. And as a result, had a whole bunch of books that he decided not to take with him and offered them to anybody who would pay for postage. And so we organised that, but it took some months to get here.
And I don't remember.
They're here. Yeah, I don't remember what I had for lunch.
No, like we don't even really remember how many boxes are coming, so there might still be another box in the way, but we think this is all of them. It's a huge haul.
Let's see what the books are. We're about to discover these books.
With you.
Rediscover them. We picked them for a reason.
Some of them I had to Google though. So like, I'm not going to remember what all of these are about. I'm just warning you.
The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry by Rachel Joyce. Was this one yours or mine now? This is yours, yeah?
I don't remember. When Harold Fry leaves home one morning to post a letter with his wife hoovering upstairs, he has no idea that he's about to walk from one end of the country to the other. He has no hiking boots or map, let alone a compass, a waterproof or mobile phone. All he knows is that he must keep walking to save someone else's life. I remember reading about this. Yeah, this sounded really cool.
Poignant and sad, but yet at the same time the potential to be funny.
Yeah. And it reminded me of that TV show... Reginald
Perrin.
Yes, it reminded me of that when we were reading about it.
Call back to British sitcom from before we were born.
Woo!
And we're pretty old.
Shut up. Scott's pretty old. I'm beautiful. Next.
The guy who played Reggie Perrin is dead.
Before we were born.
Martin Clunes remade it.
What's
and Martin Clunes is...
next? One American Robin by E.A. Mann. Robin is a lonely, whip-smart, 25-year-old muddling her way through a rough summer. Her father is losing his mind to dementia. He also might be falling in love, which is nice, but it has Robin wondering, is it adultery if you can't remember you have a wife? Oh!
What a cool premise.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting, and I vaguely remember that there were a couple of, like, books about characters with dementia, in, like, a clot.
Yeah.
So we might have a couple more in this box.
Awesome.
But I really like the cover. How pretty is that?
Blue Chicago.
Blue in Chicago. How do you have a book channel and not be able to read?
I don't need to read all of the words. That takes so long. Especially the little ones.
This is how you read 200 books a year. Skip 50% of the words.
Yeah, but not all in a row. You have to selectively pick.
This doesn't have like a nice synopsis on the back.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the thing. Blue in Chicago brings together the bittersweet short stories of the remarkable American writer Bette Howland. Oh, this is a short story collection. I must have picked this because Scott doesn't do short stories. I'm excited about this one. If no one distracts me, this will probably be the first thing I read.
I read this on audio, so having a
what
physical...
What did you give it?
3.
You gave it a 3?
Yeah, and I think that my 3, it's very miserly in comparison to everybody else.
Feel that everyone else gave it 5. Like, I feel like I've only seen people glow about this. But I don't listen to you about books, because we don't agree.
We do.
Sometimes.
I would definitely say that is more of a Nell book than a Scott book, though.
It's also a beautiful cover. I feel like Sean has sent us all the beautiful covers.
Remembered Yvonne
something.
Battle Felton. I don't know about this one now. This is your one.
I feel like most of them are mine, actually.
Yeah. I definitely think that I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna top up my collection. And I was like, 3 books? All you can eat?
It was definitely all you can eat, as far as I'm concerned. It's 1910 and Philadelphia is burning. The last place Spring wants to be is in the rundown, coloured section of a hospital surrounded by the groans of sick people and the ghost of her dead sister. But as her son Edward lies dying, she has no other choice.
Sounds horrible.
It's got a ghost in it. It's not a Sean book. I don't understand why you even had this, Sean. But I'm excited you did because the cover is stunning and it sounds very much up my alley.
I didn't mean the book sounds horrible. I meant the situation sounded horrible. That might have come across wrong. She would be king by
Yes, she would.
by way too more. I DNF'd this one as an audio.
Did you?
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's about a tough bitch.
Yeah, I totally think that this is this was not a same thing. Thanks, Nell.
Yeah.
It wasn't a topic matter DNF. It was a writing DNF.
Oh, did you find it confusing or boring?
No, it was too jumpy.
Oh, confusing. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, too jumpy.
We will disagree. Excellent.
Yeah, and that is totally something that you don't care about, and I think is the worst crime an author can commit.
Yeah, excess timelines. I'm like, woo! More timelines!
There was only 3. They just jumped. This is a fat one.
Oh.
Night, Sleep, Death, The Stars, Joyce Carol Oates.
I think that I chose this because I haven't read Joyce Carol Oates yet.
Whoa.
But it's fucking huge, so I hope I like it.
You've got some commitment phobia with books as it is, and this one's tapping in it. Tapping in. Is that a boxing metaphor? For fuck's sake, Scott.
I would go with wrestling. But yes.
Aren't they the same sport? 787 pages.
That's mammoth. But you never know. It might be worth it. And if I hate it, I'll really hate it by the end, and then I'll never read her again.
Box 1. That was really satisfying.
It was. It sounded like a zip. Oh, bubble wrap. A Boy in Winter by Rachel Seifert. Ooh, early on a grey November morning in 1941, only weeks after the German invasion, a small Ukrainian town is overrun by the SS.
Ukraine.
And Nazis.
That's definitely your book.
I definitely think so.
Whenever there's Nazis in it, it's your book.
I mean, probably.
It's Stalinist Lem, Tales of the Prick's Pilot.
This is you.
Yeah, this is Stanislaw Lem, not Stalinist. To be fair, I was reading that on an angle. There was a bit of
To be fair, Scott can't read.
This one sounds like a bit of a risk, but it sounds like it could be really, really funny.
I remember this giving like Slaughterhouse 5 vibes.
In Pilot Pricks, Lem has created an irresistibly likeable character, an astronaut who gives the impressions of still navigating by the seat of his pants. He is a bumbler, but an inspired one. Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be funny. I always find funny books a risk, but I really do like a funny book when it's good, you know?
Especially when it's a smart funny book and not just a...
Who's that guy that I hate but everybody loves?
Douglas Adams.
Douglas Adams. Because he's actually really funny, Douglas Adams, but I relate to his characters too much.
Get anxious.
Just I can't believe that they're demolishing his house and they didn't tell him. That happened to me last week.
Next book.
Samarkand, which is a Persian... Is this a Persian classic, yeah? The story of Samarkand is woven around the history of a manuscript of the Rabat of Omar Khayyam. From its creation by the poet and the sage in the 11th century Persia to its loss when the Titanic sank in 1912. Unwittingly involved in a brawl on the streets of Samarkand, Omar Khayyam is brought before a local judge who recognised his genius as a poet and gives him a blank book in which to inscribe his verse.
Sounds interesting.
Sounds like one of those ones that I would have been like, I'll kind of hint that Nell should buy that one and see if it's any good.
Talk her into it and then blame her when it's shit.
I think that Sean read this last year. I think this is the Romanian translated one. For 2,000 Years, Mikhail Sebastian.
I remember being excited about this title, but I can't remember why.
I received 2 punches during today's lecture and I took 8 pages of notes. Good value for 2 punches. Absolutely, definitively alone. A young Jewish student in Romania tries to make sense of a world that has decided he doesn't belong, spending his days walking the streets and his nights drinking and gambling, meeting revolutionaries, zealots, lovers, and libertines. He adjusts his eyes to the darkness that falls over Europe, the 1938 masterpiece. I think that might have been one that we agreed upon getting. The Three Daughters of Eve by Alif Shafak. Now, you got this one because
I wanted it.
something to do with Elif Shafak, who I think is 10 minutes and 38 seconds in this world was absolutely masterful. So
I don't think that's a huge risk. I think that's probably going to be a good book.
Yeah, I found all of the 3 books I've read from Shafak to be very different. So
it's always fun. I like an author that shapeshifts.
Different in enjoyment as well.
But I think that's good. If they're not changing and taking literary risks, then you can start to feel formulaic, and that depletes enjoyment too. Do you need some help?
Dude, give me a second.
You seem to be struggling.
I've got a broken thumb.
You do not. He has an injured thumb. It's not broken.
When people take my language literally, they make me seem like some sort of narcissistic fuckwit.
Well,
to be fair, that's correct, but I do try to not come across as one.
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books so far.
I like that you pile them on the smallest book.
It's the first book. It's not my fault you gave it to me first.
No Knives in the Kitchen of the City.
Okay, that sounds like a useless kitchen. Khaled Khalifa. Oh, it's set in Aleppo. Oh, this just sounds good.
you read the back and you said it sounded good, but you're not gonna say what it's about.
You want me to say?
You say it's about some kitchen that only practices spoon use.
He's a dickhead. Set between the 1960s and 2000s, No Knives in the Kitchens of the City speaks with eloquence and startling honesty to the persecution of a whole society.
1,000 Acres, Jane Smiley, winner of the Pulitzer Prize.
When the aging patriarch of a rich, thriving farm in Iowa decides to retire, he offers his land to his 3 daughters. Is this a Leah thing? For Ginny and Rose, who live on the farm with their husbands, the gift makes sense, a reward for years of hard work, a challenge to make the farm even more successful. But the youngest, Caroline, a Des Moines lawyer, flatly rejects the idea, and in anger, her father cuts her out, setting off an explosive series of events that will leave none of them unchanged. Caroline,
Cordelia, Ginny, what's the G? What's the other 2 sisters?
I don't remember right now. I think this is the Leah retelling.
But I think you'll find the initials are all the same.
Yeah, that'll be why I took that.
Goneril and Reagan. And it's Ginny and Rose.
And
Goneril and Reagan. Yeah, so it's a Leah retelling. The Cost of Sugar.
Ooh.
Cynthia McLeod.
This is about slavery and sugar production?
Well, we've got a black woman holding a banana leaf over herself and a white woman
who has some serious cleavage happening. I mean, a lot of these books are completely unread. I'm just pointing out. Not even a spine cracked.
Dawn is breaking on the Hebron plantation, and while the eastern sky is blushing at the caress of the rising sun, the doors of the slave hut begin to open one by one, and so begins The Cost of Sugar, an engrossing account of 18th century Suriname at the time when the country was ruled by the Dutch. The hypocrisy behind the veneer of a respectable colonial life are revealed through the eyes of 2 Jewish stepsisters, Elza and Saris, descendants of the settlers of New Jerusalem, of the river known today as the Jordan Savanne. The Jordan Savan. I don't know that river, and I've got that wrong. Their pampered existence became interwound with the faith of the plantation as the slaves decided to fight amongst the violent repression they have endured for so long. That actually sounds awesome.
I'm really interested in this, especially because sugar is one of those foods that still relies on slavery in most instances. So.
I think if you want to be absolutely terrified, have a look at where the sugar you buy comes from. Also the chocolate and the tea you buy and the coffee.
Spices. Bricks.
If you trace all of them back, I think it's something ridiculous that 90% of all of those products in the open market come from forced labour, which is a really PC term for modern day slavery.
Yeah.
This has got an excellent title. In the Face of Death, We Are Equal.
Beautiful cover. Those who know me call me Old He, and they also know that I've worked at a crematorium my entire life. Oh my god.
I tell you, this one, I think that is the most captivating. That's the one that has drawn me to it the most on this.
Oh, on this little journey.
The Skin We're In A Year of Black Resistance and Power. Desmond Cole. I mean, that sounds good.
The Skinwarian is about the interlocking forces besieging black life in Canada, and it's also about organising resistance and imagining futures in bravely intimate terms. Desmond Cole is an urgent and essential voice from a generation that will be heard. Ooh!
The Invisible
This is
Man,
definitely a
Ralph
me, because
Ellison.
you've read this.
Yeah, I've read this. This is it's quite a shiny cover.
It is. You gotta angle the dangle correctly.
I will be really interested to know what you make of this, because subject matter and thought-provoking ideas and all of that sort of stuff, it's great. But writing style is really difficult and bombastic.
It makes me really happy.
There's lots of imagery, white paint, and you've got to get the paint really white, and he's a black man making white paint in it. There's some really weird stuff
that sounds really interesting.
I really want to see what you make of it.
Do not like the dimensions of this book.
It's very small but fat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like anti-tiny hand person.
Tiny hand person.
Yeah, does not like my hands.
But it's
but the font is really easy to read, so that's fine.
It's one of those books that if you haven't read it, I really actually recommend reading 3 or 4 pages, and if you
hate it, then don't.
But if you don't, then read it. I think it's one of those books.
I intend to read all of these, just so you know.
Well, obviously, Valerie Perrin, Freshwater for Flowers.
Ooh, I remember this being exciting.
This one.
I can't remember why. Violet Toussaint is the caretaker at a cemetery in a small town in Burgundy. Casual mourners, regular visitors, and sundry colleagues, gravediggers, groundskeepers, and a priest visit her to warm themselves in her lodge, where laughter, companionship, and occasional tears mix with the coffee she offers them. Her life is lived to the rhythms of their funny, moving confidences. That sounds interesting. I think lives lived parallel to death, or really in close quarters with death are quite interesting.
The Comforters, Muriel Sparks. This is a you.
Yeah, this is a me pick because I haven't read a Muriel Spark, and I think I picked the first Muriel Spark that was on offer.
Yeah, she's a real bitch to her characters. She
sounds perfect.
Don't like them. Nothing more than insulting her characters.
Carolyn Rose has a problem. She hears voices and the incessant tapping of typewriter keys, and she screams to be a character in a novel, a comedy of errors, a crime novel, a book about books. Spark's debut remains as otherworldly and mischievous as it was when it was first published 60 years ago.
When she was in her prime.
When's a woman's prime, Scott?
I don't know. I just...
I'm excited about that.
Before they're dead.
I mean... Ooh, are we opening the final box?
Yeah, this is the last box. I think this is the biggest one too. All right. Oh, yeah, this is a new release. A Visit from the Goon Squad.
Ooh.
Jennifer Egan.
A PEN Faulkner Award finalist.
Actually, this isn't a new release. The Candy Room is a new release. This is the one she wrote.
Before the Candy Room?
Before the Candy Room. The Candy Room? The Candy something? I don't know.
Benny is an aging former punk rocker and record executive. Sasha is the passionate, troubled young woman he employs. Here, Jennifer Egan brilliantly reveals their pasts along with the inner lives of a host of other characters whose paths intersect with theirs. Interesting.
Fraser Simons either really liked this novel or really didn't. I don't remember which one, but I do remember there was strong emotions.
There was strong emotions. I like strong emotion books. I think that's good. Actually,
I think I would prefer from every booktuber, I would prefer to pick up their 1 stars and their 3 stars.
Yes. I don't want to read your 3 stars. Could give a shit. This is the worst cover. Just so far.
I like that cover.
That's my least favourite.
Yeah, I mean, nothing says giving a baby too much food colouring and having them poo on a bit of paper. It's very Jackson Pollock of it.
Oh, it's the vagina book, yes?
That's not a vagina. That's a very pointy vagina.
It's a stylised fanny, and it is. It is.
I know what it is. I was just trying to...
Red clocks. I mean, come on. In this ferociously imaginative novel, abortion is illegal in America. Ooh, imaginative.
So unrealistic.
In vitro fertilization is banned, and the Personhood Amendment grants rights of life, liberty, and property to every embryo. Well, I can tell why I wanted to read this, other than the stylized vagina.
This is a fat one.
You're a fat one. Well, Jim, try not to be offended.
I don't know what to say. I'm just going to make up an imaginary diet.
A God in Ruins by Kate Atkinson. I'm sorry, they're just talking about Kate Atkinson a lot. A God in Ruins tells the dramatic story of the 20th century through Ursula's beloved brother, Teddy, would-be poet, heroic pilot, husband, father, and grandfather as he navigates the perils and progress of a rapidly changing world. I don't remember why I was excited about this.
I think this could be a me book, but I don't remember it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I definitely I have zero faith in blurbs.
Yeah, they're mostly bullshit.
So
they very rarely get the synopsis correct, and they never explain the central of a book.
Yeah, so I'm much more likely to look for reviews, and
we did spend a lot of time on Goodreads when we were making these decisions.
Yeah, and I often look for reviews of this book will make you angry, this book will make you sad, rather than this is a book about abortion.
Yeah.
Which could make you angry or sad or a few other emotions. Sarah Perry, The Essex Serpent. I feel like this could have been either of us, but I think it was probably you. That's a pretty popular book. I'm just going to let the dog out because he definitely came in and asked for something just then.
Yeah, take him to wee. And meanwhile, I will tell you that this is set in London, 1893. When Cora Seaborn's husband dies, she steps into her new life as a widow with as much relief as sadness. Retreating to the countryside with her son, she encounters rumours of the Essex Serpent, a creature of folklore said to have returned to roam the marshes. Marshes, not marches. Reminds me of another cover, the one about a river. Shape.
The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield.
Yeah, that's the
one.
one.
They've got the same cover.
Yeah.
I opened the door so he could go out to the toilet, and he looked at me and said,
"Fuck
it's
off,
fucking
it's cold
out there, I'm not pissing."
I'll hold it.
Yeah.
You're going to be holding it for about 6 months, dog. He hasn't figured out seasons yet.
I think he has. He hasn't figured out his bladder yet. Sarah Moss, Ghost Wall. This is skinny.
I do often prioritise skinny books.
152 pages. I've never read some Sarah Moss. I was hoping to get to The Fell, the new one, which maybe that'll be on the Booker and that'll force me to read it anyway. But definitely, I don't know whether that was you or me, but Sarah Moss is an author that has been on my radar that I haven't tried for a bit. I haven't tried yet. Yeah. So maybe that could be either of us. Yeah,
I suspect potentially both. We did actually occasionally agree on this. Did you want to read the thing?
They're just quotes. Teenage Sylvie and her parents are living in a hut in Northumberland as an exercise in experimental archaeology. Her father is a difficult man obsessed with imagining and enacting the harshness of Iron Age life. Haunting Sylvie's narrative, it's the story of a bog girl, a young woman sacrificed by those close to her, and the landscape both keeps and reveals the secrets of the past violence and rituals as the summer builds to its harrowing climax. I think I've seen a few people review this now that synopsis is read, and I think that it's so short that I definitely want to read it, and Maggie O'Farrell likes it on the front, and I just said that...
That is definitely a win.
You know, why do quotes mean nothing until it's a big name author?
No, it's never a big name author. It's an author whose writing style I really connect with. And it's style. It has to be style.
Yeah. I've criticised both Salman Rushdie and Stephen King for the give us a $5 for a quote style of their...
Yeah.
Full respect. I mean,
yeah.
If people would pay me a $5 to say good book, I would say good book a lot.
You can't say that on BookTube. People will assume that we're secretly rich and accepting bribes.
Authors, I will take a bribe to give you a good review. Just saying.
Funny. Will it help your sales? Probably not.
I reckon.
That audience of 3 people.
I reckon we've single-handedly doubled the sales of Daryl alone.
And well, if we haven't, then certainly some of the people we've recommended it to have.
Yeah. In the Pond, Han Jin. It is. It's little and it's little.
It's petite.
It's little in all dimensions. 178 pages, big text as well.
Ooh.
Xiao Bin is a factory fitter in a small Chinese town, a poor and unconnected man with a young wife and a small child, but also an accomplished artist and a calligrapher. He works at a plant for 6 years, so he feels that this time his family will get an apartment in Workers' Park, where his wife won't have to walk 2 miles to wash their clothes. But the party controls everything in the town, and again the apartment goes to a corrupt official and their cronies. Outraged, Bin pens a series of satirical cartoons attacking them and finds his trouble is only just beginning. Communism is bad.
Yeah.
Actually, I often find that these things that critique communism and critique fascism are critiquing the same thing, and people don't actually realise that what they hate is authoritarianism. But
I think when they're written by people who survived the Cultural Revolution, they're usually just critiquing the Cultural Revolution.
Well, yeah. But it's always good to read those sort of books.
Yes. Very interesting.
Tesha Mossfield, Eileen. This is one that you have got because of me. This is
No, this is the one that you have got for me.
No, you got this one. I remember you getting this one. This one, thanks, Brinny.
You right, bud? Do you need a cuddle? Okay.
This one definitely was something else. Yeah, it's a bit of a what the fuck book, and
when the beautiful, charismatic Rebecca St. John arrives on the scene, Eileen is enchanted. But soon Eileen's affection for Rebecca will pull her into a crime that far surpasses even her own wild imagination. Interesting.
And
shortlisted for the Booker in 2016. Interesting.
Yeah. I think Atessa Moshbeg is one of those authors that is doing something that everybody will not appreciate, but the people who do appreciate really appreciate it.
She does seem to generate screaming fangirls.
Yeah.
And boys.
Yeah. I often hear her linked with Sally Rooney. I don't think that's fair. I think she's
or maybe it's the screaming fangirl creation then.
Yeah, I think it's the polarized opinions.
Yeah.
No, Bryn.
Not playing.
No, not playtime. Yeah. All right. Let's get a move on. Oh, this one's still in plastic.
Jesus, Sean.
No one may remain. Agatha Christie comes. I tell you how I live. There you go. I have no idea.
By Haytham Hussein. Hussein is one among millions of displaced Syrians who lost their homes and country, seeking refuge around the world. His narrative biography relates the experiences of an asylum seeker's interactions with people he meets after leaving Syria, each chapter a new facet of his journey. Entwining themes of belonging, identity, and family, the stories diverge in chronology and capture snapshots of myriad locations, ultimately reuniting around the central conversation between the refugee and Agatha Christie through her biography, Come Tell Me How You Live, and mystery novel And Then There Were None. From his Syrian hometown to Lebanon, Egypt, Scotland and England, Hussein maps the path of a man cast out of his familiar world. The reader falls into the refugee's nostalgic and painful recollections, his sometimes bitter, sometimes hopeful speculations. No One May Remain is a raw and candid perspective from a Kurdish Syrian author on the war in Syria, the refugee crisis, and life for a refugee in the West. That sounds like a really interesting, intercontextual structure. And I've read And Then There Were None, but I haven't read Agatha Christie's biography.
Neither have I. This is definitely your book, not mine.
Yeah, I'm very interested in the structure of this book. That kind of overlapping literary conversation in a book really, really intrigues me, even if the book is not necessarily enjoyable to read.
Yeah.
I like to pick apart the technique and the structure in this specific kind of book.
I think it's always really interesting, the books that you read, even though you sort of suspect that they might not be good, because you get something else out of it.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting. Maybe that's another video.
Maybe.
But that is definitely where our tastes really diverge, because that is a book that I would have run far away from, and you have been
and
gravitated.
I'm like, ooh, puzzle.
Like, keep the structure simple.
Oh no, I like structural experimentation.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily mean I like the book at the end of it, but
yeah,
I find it interesting.
Yeah. Philip Roth, Portney's Complaint. Now, this was one that I picked. I have no idea what this book is about, but the reason I picked this, isn't it that yellow?
Yeah, I'm just like against the purple of my nails. It's like stupid bright.
Banned books have been a bit of a thing, and I did a little bit of research into banned books in Australia. This is the last book to really get banned in Australia. I believe it got banned. Oh, look, it's got the word penis puzzle on the back.
Penis puzzle? I mean, yes.
Oh, sorry. The puzzled penis.
Oh, it's a confused penis.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
It doesn't know where to go.
I thought it was a dissected into many parts penis.
Could be like a penis in a threesome. It doesn't know whether it's...
That's boring.
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe it's a Chinese finger trap penis.
Yeah, okay.
This is... This book was sold secretly in Australia, and they ended up having to unban it because it was just so proliferous.
Ineffectively banned.
And it's the history of the banning in Australia that has drawn me to this. I actually suspect Philip Roth is an author that I've never read, and I don't know anything about Philip Roth, but I've heard some things that I might need to Google. But a prominent Jewish author is all I know.
Puzzled penis.
Oh, there's some very thin ones here now.
Oh, there's oral coitus.
I mean, has he called it oral coitus?
Yeah, legitimately oral coitus.
I mean, that makes it sound like you can get pregnant from it.
Castration, autoeroticism, exhibitionism, voyeurism, fetishism.
I mean...
Oral coitus.
Amid the Chaos by Nathan H. Mogos. I really do not like the text on the cover.
The font?
Yeah, the font, that's what I mean.
With no crossbar on the A's.
I just found it very hard to read.
Some people call Eritrea the North Korea of Africa.
Well, that's why we got the book. I think Eritrea would have been like catnip for us.
In the picturesque capital of Asmara, these two educated young men are forced to choose between poverty and hustle as they hide from a national service conscription that would send them to the front lines. Charismatic Mishka is a charmer, a philosopher, and a loving son who is capable of having any woman in the city. Capable of having any woman in the city. Because the city has no lesbians. But he's about to flee his oppressive homeland, putting his long-time friendship with Chenkello at stake. Chenkello is a consummate hustler, resentful of his lot, but in love with his city and his country. He has a poet's heart whose passion will soon fuel activism and a belief that Eritrea's beloved national project can yet be saved. Sounds very dude bro.
It does sound dude bro, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But Eritrea.
Yeah, but Eritrea.
All right, Bryn. In your box.
Oh, sit down.
Then leave me the fuck alone, dude.
Sit. Drop. Good boy.
Luis de Berni's The War of Don Emmanuel's
You can tell he doesn't read ahead of his voice because he just lost it then. The War of Don Emmanuel's Nether Parts is what that said, in case you missed it.
By the author of Captain Corelli's Mandolin.
I legitimately don't think we needed to look up what this was about. We probably did, but I don't think we needed to because that title is a clear insta-buy. When the spoilt and haughty Donna Costanza tries to divert a river to fill her swimming pool, she starts a running battle with the locals. The skirmishes are so severe that the government dispatches a squadron of soldiers led by the fat, brutal, and stupid Figueras to deal with them.
Let's tie fatness with brutal and stupidity.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see. This is the last one.
No, there's heaps. Patrick Gale, A Perfectly Good Man. Now, Patrick Gale, that's ringing big bells, but I know this is your book.
Patrick Gale is a author recommendation from Jen the Librarian, and I have never disagreed with Jen the Librarian's taste. I have another unread Patrick Gale on my shelf, but this was a cheap one.
Jen the Librarian really likes Thomas Hardy, just saying.
I'm not saying she's wrong. I'm just saying the one Hardy book I've read
Is Jen the Librarian's least favourite.
was shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's her least favourite, but it's certainly not high up on the list.
Yeah, because it wasn't good. I mean, that's fine.
I love it.
I'll try. That's because I don't know. You're weird.
Yeah, it's one of my 5 or 6 Hardy 5 stars.
5 or 6. How many Hardy books are there? 7?
No, it's like 16 or
Oh,
something.
okay. I was like, what's the one that missed out?
Far from the Crowd, Merricaster Ridge, Jude, Tess. Well, there's another one.
I think I need to read Tess.
Tess is the one you need to read, yeah. The Blind Owl, 75th Anniversary Edition by somebody's name I don't want to try and pronounce.
It's very little.
Yeah, there's a few very little books in here.
78 pages.
It's even less because it's got Arabic writing and English writing.
So we've got some translated bits in there.
And they're not, if you go back, they're not even the same.
No, it looks like a bunch of letters in different handwriting.
Yeah, they're clearly quite different.
And that's actually in translator's notes. So the book doesn't start until there. Printing and sale of this work in Iran is forbidden. All tantalising little tidbits as far as I'm concerned.
I think Iran was another one of those catnip countries for us. The Story of My Teeth, Valeria Luiselli. Interesting title.
I like the cover.
Gustavo Highway Sanchez is a man with a life full of stories and a month full of bad teeth and a mouth full of bad teeth.
And a month of bad teeth.
A month of bad teeth. That makes no sense. But all that is about to change because Gustavo was on a quest to obtain the perfect set of pearly whites. To do this, he must travel the world, become a renowned auctioneer, caller, and sell off his most precious possession, the teeth he has collected over the years that once belonged to luminaries such as Plato and Virginia Woolf.
Ew.
How does Plato's teeth... Do Plato's teeth really... I mean, I guess teeth do last that long, but how would you know? Did he, sign a note on them, or...
Ew! Teeth collecting. The only person I know who does that is Katja, the drag queen. And it's gross. Yeah, her fans give her their baby teeth.
Really?
Yeah, and she encourages this.
What sort of fan still has their baby teeth? There must
Your mum will have your baby teeth. I guarantee you, in a little box somewhere. My mum has mine. They tooth fairy them and they keep them in a little box because they don't know what to do with them, and they try and give them to you when you're an adult because they don't want them anymore. Or they hoard them.
I suspect that my mum might have thrown them in the bin. Mum, where are my teeth? Are they in landfill? I think they're in landfill, yeah.
Don't keep them, it's creepy.
I mean, who are we kidding? My mum doesn't watch this.
I fucking hope not.
She'd be very upset about the Chinese finger puzzle penis. Actually, I think she won't. I think she'd giggle at that.
I think she would too.
I think she's immune to my...
Smart, yes. She's immune to your smart.
She doesn't react to it anymore, which is what I want. She knows this. The Binding Vine, Saisha Deshpande. From the author of The Long Silence, winner of one of India's most prestigious literary prize, Saisha Academia Award, comes a new, equally haunting novel. The narrator is the clever Shartan Umay, grieving over the death of her baby daughter and surrounded by but rebuffing the care of her mother and her childhood friend Varna. Instead, she becomes caught up in the discovery of her long-dead mother-in-law's poetry, written when she was a young woman subject to rape in her marriage, and in Kalpana, a young woman hanging between life and death in a hospital also the victim of rape. Well, India is one of the regions that I'm a big fan of breaking my books up by like little cultural regions. I find maybe that's just how my brain organizes books, but India is one of the regions that I absolutely love, and the story of that sounds absolutely horrible and miserable, which is my bag.
If that's not a Scott book, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like, I forgot about that one, but it's definitely my pick.
Yeah.
Rebecca West, The Returned Soldier. This is the classic novel, yeah.
It's a very beautiful cover.
It's very short too.
We've got a few littlies in this haul, which is exciting.
138 pages. I think that this was you picking it. I've not read this one. It's one of the few classics. I feel like I read all of the classics I deemed worthy and then stopped. I deemed worthy.
I'm just making fun of you.
No, there's still a few. There you go. I don't know what to say about it. It's a book about war, yeah. The Returned Soldier. A book about coming home from war. But I'm interpreting the title there.
Yeah. That'll get read pretty quickly, I think.
And I basically think every book now, they're getting tiny. Cyprian Exwini, Glittering City. This is absolutely tiny. It is 52 pages.
This is a weird little... I've got some of these as well.
Now
it's like a weird little series by Penguin where they're just teeny little, often an essay rather than a book.
Untrustworthy, charming, fussy, Joe spins tall tales and breaks hearts in this rollicking story set in the sensational city of 1960s Lagos. So Nigerian.
And a tiny little like short story, not even a novella.
This could be either of us, but as I was just talking about how India was one of those cultural places that I really like the literature of, Nigeria is.
Yeah, I've got a Jones for these little.
And yeah, anything under 100 pages, and you'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, I do like a short.
Have you read the Claire Keegan one yet?
Do I have it?
I don't know. Small Things Like These. Everybody's raving about that, and it's
and it's a short.
Yeah, it's the size of
I don't think I have it.
Tophalist, or The Marriage of Zoes, Zamamite. That's another very tiny one. Now, if I remember correctly, Sean enticed us into buying this by saying that it was annotated by him.
Was it?
And I do not remember correctly.
No, I don't think you do. It doesn't look annotated, but it does look teeny.
I'm sure there was one that we got.
Because he said it was annotated.
Because he annotated it and you were like, no, I want to read that. I think it was...
This is set in Lithuania.
Oh, well, that's why.
That'll be why, because I'm interested in that part of the world.
I think that this haul has taught us something, that if you want to base your book or publish a book written by an author in an obscure part of the world, that... we're really interested in that. Just
yeah, something like a place I don't know much about.
Yeah, anywhere. Like I've not read a Lithuanian author before.
Yeah.
There is another box here now. This is a used book haul.
Oh, can we just count up how many books we got from Sean?
Yeah.
28. So 38 altogether.
Did you count the back?
Yeah.
38 altogether.
38 books, Sean.
That's a good haul.
I think it works out at like $4 a book. It's pretty good. Pretty happy.
This one must be yours. Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. Yeah, definitely yours, because you're definitely leaning towards more sci-fi, silliness, light reads.
Yeah, I've been quite stressed out lately, and I've been finding myself gravitating towards much lighter fiction. Definitely in the sci-fi, fantasy sort of genre. I've got a real Jones for Afrofuturism, but this collaboration has been on my I should try it out list. Even though I've never had a good experience with Neil Gaiman, apparently this is good. I
got to say, having read that, it's got Pratchett's hands all over it.
Yeah, okay.
And that for me was the dominant flavour of it. But I've read much more Pratchett than I have Gaiman because he's a better writer.
Yeah, I've not had a good experience with anything Gaiman yet. So we'll see. Very much an experiment. Ooh, and I got a set.
Robin Hobb. Is this the Assassin's Apprentice?
No.
This is a different...
I got a different set each.
This is Renegade Magic, Forest Mage, and Shaman's Crossing. It's in a different font. It's a different cover.
Yeah.
I like how our local used bookshop
He ties them up. He wraps them up in string so that you get the whole set. You know that it's the whole set or a whole subset. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So $20 for that. Used books are actually relatively expensive in Australia. I think it's basically because the rent on the shops here is fucked.
Yeah.
That's it.
But also, he's like, none of them sell on the internet. They're all like really old school.
Yeah. Another Pratchett now, Mort. Obviously, I've read this one a few times.
I haven't read this one, so I got it.
I can't believe you didn't join in our readathon.
I think that's why I got it, and then I got distracted by life and other books. Oh, another set. Oh, he talked me into this, and I'm really interested.
This is his favourite author. This is actually, Larry Has Opinions loves this. I don't know, does Larry Have Opinions still make videos these days? Joe Abercrombie. Why can't I speak? Joe Abercrombie.
I was a bit worried because I'm basically avoiding fantasy written by dudes because it tends to be a bit misogynal. And I tried to get a straight answer out of the bookseller, and I don't actually trust his opinion. So if anyone knows what the depiction of women is like by Joe Abercrombie, I'd be really interested.
I'm quite interested in Joe Abercrombie too, because when I did my collection of fantasy, I wanted to add a bit of grimdark to I wanted to try it.
Yeah.
And Abercrombie is one of the
names that comes up.
Yeah. Irvin Welsh, Train Spotting. We didn't have a copy. I don't know why. Now we do.
Did we not have a copy?
I've never read it. It's one of the massive holes in my reading, I believe, considering I've read quite a bit. I feel like I should have got to that by now.
Yeah. I feel like it's here somewhere, but maybe it's not.
Alexis Wright, Carpentaria. I DNF'd this last month. I DNF'd this as an audiobook. I forgot I bought it. That's really inefficient.
That's hilarious. I have no intention to read this.
Why not?
Why?
It's my reason for DNFing it is totally a reason that you won't mind.
Okay.
You know what it is? Do you know what it is?
I don't know what it is.
So Alexis Wright is one of Australia's biggest Indigenous authors.
Yeah.
She won the Miles Franklin in 07.
Yeah, whatever. Things I don't care about.
I picked it up because Tony Birch recommends Alexis Wright.
Yeah.
Anyway, Carpentaria, obviously based in Carpentaria and then far north, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's about like a township, and we get to see like the interplay between all the people in the town and the racism and stuff. It just jumps characters too quickly, and it has too many characters for me, especially while I'm working such long hours. I don't have the brain capacity to deal with that many characters.
Maybe. I've got a shorter one by Alexis Wright somewhere.
The Swan, the Black Swan, or the Swan book? Or
yeah, whatever that one is. It's here somewhere. So I'll probably try that first.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Dem's all the books.
There's so many.
It's a long video too. As always, let us know which of these books you've read. There's a lot of off the beaten path because obviously coming from Sean, that's sort of, you know, the man who rejects books if they get overhyped. Which I understand why he does that. I definitely understand that. But if you've read any of them and you recommend them, let us know. Let us know what's good in your opinion.
Yes, and I may or may not ignore that.
And let us know what was the last book you hauled in the comments.
Yes! What did you get?
All right.
Did you get a box of books from Sean?
Yeah. Will you be doing a Sean the Book Maniac haul? Anyway, toodaloo.
Bye!